It seems like only a few days ago that I was talking about the last Appalachian wrestling show. Appalachian Mountain Wrestling, that is. And that's because it was. This is a new episode. You've seen this? Look at that. I just can't be trusted to eat even these days. Anyway, this week's, which I think is episode 11? I think it is. Has got a big announcement, is the word I'm looking for. Announcement at the beginning of it. And they're going to be a tag team gauntlet with about 5 different teams, and they will feature this throughout the episode. It's for the tag team championships, and Bo James is going to be in there. Handsome Bo James. That'll be interesting. I can't think his team are going to win, but you never know. Anyway, is the guy with the gargly voice, is he called Bobby Blade then? I think that Kyle Maggard came to me after the last episode and said, you're getting it mixed up. It's not Bobby Blade. Bobby Blaze is the gentleman who is in the, is he the general manager? I still can't work it out. Certainly he has announced the gauntlet, and that's a good thing. And Tony Presley is around. Is he the CEO? I don't know. Is he the CEO? I don't know. And he's not very well liked, is he? Because I now realise I'm getting to know this, getting to know things, and he is the head honcho, I suppose, at New South Wrestling, which is why he had the box office blondes last week, and the stable is called New South because there is a New South Wrestling, and it must be pretty near Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. And what they're worried about is that he is going to close down AMW, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. He doesn't want wrestling in Kentucky, that sort of thing. So anyway, we've got that at the back of things. But before we get there, we have Adrian Alexander versus Marvellous Marcus Johnson. Now, commentators here, JR, and I think, is that Bobby then? Is that Bobby? An extraordinary gargly voice. I think they might have been given a memo. Hype up these matches, because this is Adrian Alexander, who is the double ace, versus Marvellous Marcus Johnson, who they really like. I mean, they really like this match, folks. They're delighted at 2 hip tosses from Johnson and then 2 hip tosses from Alexander. And then a drop kick, and they almost lose their mess at that. There's a choke from Alexander. Apparently Presley's been firing people. It's not very nice, is it? I don't like that sort of thing. I don't like creative has nothing for you. Best of luck in your future endeavours at all. Anyway, he then does Marcus Johnson. He kind of scoots under to do the roll-up, and apparently it's a beautiful go-under, and they're excited because he hooked the leg. Well, I mean, as Michael Elliott says in Holy Christ in NAWA, you've got to go to Golden Gladiators Hook the Leg seminar for that. But they're even excited about a shoulder block from Marcus Johnson. Unbelievable. Not really, it's a shoulder block. They're excited about a sunset flip. There's a drop kick for a long 2 count from Alexander. And then he's got one of those Money in the Bank briefcases so he can have a title shot. He gets the briefcase, the ref doesn't want it. There's a distraction, and Marcus Johnson hits the code breaker. They call it a jawbreaker. It's actually a code breaker, it looks like to me, for the pin. And they're calling the match awesome. It was not bad. Not bad, but not particularly good either. And in the end, at the end of it, Marcus Johnson is brandishing the case as if he's won it. I don't think it was on the line. I think he'll be very disappointed when he finds, no, you don't get to keep the case, Marcus. That's Adrian still. Oh, seems no point in turning up then. That sort of thing. Anyway, we've got the drawing of the numbers. The drawing of the numbers, the gauntlet of the tag. Yes, and the Heat Seekers, who have said, just give us number 5, we'll be all right. And they draw number 1. They then leave in high dudgeon. There is another team there, and as Presley says to them, "Get out of my office." Well, we're standing in a corridor. So actually, Tony, it's not specifically, "Get out." They don't say that to him, but they are standing in a corridor. They're standing outside of his office. I mean, I don't want to be pedantic, but I am. So here comes Lord Murphy Costigan, who, of course, is the Southeastern champion. I keep calling him the Northeastern champion, don't I? And as he says, he beat up was it Chase Emery last week, and he says he's crying tears as big as October cabbages. Now, I'm no gardener, but are they particularly large? Maybe Lord can tell me, because maybe he's got a green thumb. I mean, he is from Glasgow, so he's got that Celtic blood, so maybe he's got a green thumb. If he has, you can get some cream for that, or go to the A&E, go to Casualty. Anyway, he will face next the Mad Taylor, who we saw last week. He doesn't like that, and he says, who made that match? I'm going to see my legal team. He doesn't want somebody who chases around with a needle, even though it's not really a needle. It's a small thing, but he will have a bigger needle this week, actually, later on. Anyway, Billy Gunn is in an advert, which is nice for him. And then we've got the Mad Taylor. Michael Zodiac, of course, lost his mask and is now the Mad Taylor. He wears a tape measure around his neck, which the ref allows, and he's facing Zexy Z Collins. Now, Zexy Z Collins is with Voodoo King, who is apparently 7'6". Bloody hell, I'm sure he's not that big. Even Andre the Giant wasn't 7'3", so I'm sure he wasn't. Anyway, he's got a tape measure, and the commentary team don't seem to know why. Well, you might have, if you looked at last week's programme, then you probably know why he has a tape measure. He measures up his opponent like he did last week, and they don't seem to know why. Again, if you looked at last week, I mean, it might be good to look at last week's programme, and then you'll kind of know why. So, yeah, the Voodoo King looks a bit slovenly, to be honest, but he hits the Mad Taylor, who's apparently English. Later on, when he's interviewed, he's got a very, very pleasant American accent. But anyway, he hits him with a kind of stick thing that he's got, like a voodoo stick, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not a voodoo master, am I? Even though I watched Papa Shango, from 1992, I'm not really a voodoo master. He misses a leg drop, of course. Of course, he's bound to. After Voodoo King has headbutted the Mad Taylor, he hits a leg drop first, does Zexy Z Collins, a bit off course. He hits him more or less around the chest area, but then gets a nice bulldog before missing that leg drop. There is an atomic drop to a clothesline from the Zodiac man, the Mad Taylor. Then he gets the fist drop off the second rope and the Asiatic spike for the pin. Now, he's interviewed and he's called Zodiac by, is that Bobby, the guy with the gargly voice? Somebody can tell me, surely. And then he tells us that Zodiac died a month ago when he lost the mask, of course. He's now the Mad Taylor. The commentator doesn't seem very happy. Seems a bit nonplussed. Okay, Mr. Taylor, he says, it's not really the start that the Mad Taylor wanted. He's reading his notes. He's got a pair of A4 notes and says, look, it says here that you'll be facing Lord Murphy Costigan. And he grabs a huge knitting needle, it looks like, spikes the paper, and is it Bobby? Looks really cheesed off. Oh, he's really angry that his paper's been pierced. Pierced the paper. Very angry. But, yeah, he's really cheesed off. Okay, so Adrian Alexander and Eric Porter turn up to draw a number for the tag team gauntlet. And Eric Presley says to them, well, I'm not quite sure if you can be in the gauntlet because your partner left. So you're going to have to find a new partner. Well, he's turned up with Eric Porter, so ostensibly, I mean, he's not just turned up on the off chance, or I found this guy and he just wants to come and talk to you. They are actually together, so they might be thinking they're a tag team. But no, I'm not sure if you can be in the gauntlet because you need a partner. He then lets him draw a number anyway. It's a bit confusing. Anyway, Kyle Maggard is out, and this is a I mean, it's not a bad one, but it's a long vignette. Calls out Stan Sierra. These two have been there for about 10 years, and they've been bigging up Appalachian Mountain Wrestling for all that time. And what Kyle Maggard is worried about is that, as I said before, Tony Presley is going to close AMW, and New South is going to be the only territory in the area. He wants, even though they're not friends now, but they used to be great friends, he wants Stan Sierra to shake his hand and join him in trying to put down Tony Presley, and then they can finish whatever business they've got down the road. Stan Sierra turns to the crowd. Yes? No? Yeah? What do you think? And then says, well, you say to me, Kyle Maggard, that our relationship is better now than it's ever been. No, he didn't say that. He said the relationship is worse now than it's ever been. He said that since Jackson, I think it was Jacksonville, it's been terrible. So he said the exact opposite. He wants him to say sorry. He eventually does. It takes him ages. He actually sells it quite well, does Kyle Maggard. He can't quite get the words out. Says it, but then says it really simply. Okay, sorry. And the shake is just goes for nothing. It's not one of those Hogan and Macho Man shakes. That's not those. Anyway, they will come together now. So we've got a sort of incursion, haven't we? It's an NWO thing, or the invasion. I hope it's NWA, not the invasion, because one was much better than the other. Okay, Marty Clay is facing Misery. Now, Tony Presley is at ringside, and Misery's huge. He's masked. He's the Kentucky champ. So I think he's from New South, isn't he? I think. And it seems to be, because Presley's really bigging him up. So, he has a go, does Marty Clay, drop kick, leaps into the arms off the top of Misery, who just dumps him over his back. That's rather good. A Misery choke, he breaks at 4. He has to 5, remember, as Mr. Danielson told us in his ROH days. It's a poor punchline, not a punch, not a clothesline, a punchline from Misery, and then pulls him up. He tries to sunset flip him, pulls him up, and just dumps him face first on the mat. That's great. A big basement drop kick, though, from Marty, because he does fight Marty Clay, and he puts Misery down, forearm off the top, puts him down again. Misery bails. There's a kind of poor jump over there, because he's very close to the apron, so it's that just leap over the top, little leap over, little leap. Then there's a fight on the outside, and there's a DQ. Yeah. So Clay runs Misery into the steps. Presley's there, and G-Man, who they've been speaking about for ages, because apparently Presley has sacked him, or he's suspended him or something. So he comes out to try and remonstrate with Presley, who smacks him one. JR, who's not that JR, JR who's on the commentary, comes out and tries to remonstrate as well and save his mate, and he's thrown into the ring and choked by Misery. And then John Noble, who's having his retirement, he's big in the area, having his retirement due soon, and Kyle Maggard come in and Misery's gone. There's quite a lot happening at Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. Difficult to keep control of the whole thing. Well, difficult to remember the whole thing, for me, particularly. My diminished senses. And not all of it works. Some of it this week wasn't that good. But you know what? Still really enjoying it, because I love wrestling. Ta-ta.